right now. Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
All right, thanks a lot, and thank you for tuning into the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. I'm Rich Walsh. I'll be joined by Andrew Fillipponi in a matter of moments over to 93.7 The Fan Cam, and there he is right there. 412-575-2600 is the number. We definitely have a lot to talk about, especially because you were in Cleveland. I was in Cleveland. What a miserable day in Cleveland, Pony. I had a bad feeling before the game when I heard, the Steelers didn't want to give up a sack to Myles Garrett. And then that made me think, like, oh, no, they could potentially lose this game because they're more worried about stopping Myles Garrett. I don't care if Myles Garrett got 24 sacks yesterday. The Steelers should have won this game. This is the worst, I think, loss that I've covered in the 20-some years that I've been here in Pittsburgh.
Well, it's not the biggest upset, but as far as the consequences of losing, there are a few things worse. I mean, you lock up the division. You would have had a bye that you created by your own merits and victories had you won this game, and you would have been able to rest guys going into the playoffs the next week. Instead, now you've got a win or go home scenario against Baltimore, and they've got momentum back and you don't. And to score 6 points was an abomination. It was embarrassing. Mike Tomlin actually had the gall and the audacity and the nerve after the game to say, I didn't think we played that poorly. What are we talking about here? Didn't play poorly. You got outplayed by a 3-win football team. Their quarterback, believe it or not, who was awful in the second half with 21 passing yards, had a better passer rating in the game than Aaron Rodgers. You didn't run the ball as much as you should have. You had the game on the line. You threw it 3 straight times to MVS, a guy that was on your practice squad for a month, a guy that was cut by multiple teams this season. I don't care that he's friends with Aaron Rodgers. If it's about finding Aaron Rodgers' friends, they should have signed Allen Lazard by now. So the whole thing was a disgrace, really, an affront to the Steelers and what they stand for. And we'll see if they're able to rally and battle back here and deal with adversity again. But that was just pathetic all the way around. And so many things from that game are really unacceptable and inexcusable. And now it's up to them to make that game meaningless by going out and beating Baltimore Sunday night.
I just had like I said earlier in the show, I had a bad feeling, and then you had a worse feeling when the Packers couldn't win. And then I said to myself, if the Packers didn't win and the Steelers somehow lost, there's no way they're beating the Ravens. The Ravens are favored right now.
Richie, I saw the graphic, though. You picked the Steelers.
I did.
Everybody picked
Everyone
them. Badge
picked the
them.
Steelers.
Pop picked them. And that's usually a kiss of death.
Yeah.
And I liked them, too. I mean, I'm guilty of that. I still thought they'd find a way to beat Shadur Sanders. Silly me, trusting a Mike Tomlin team that had won 3 in a row. They were probably due for a loss. The way that they handled that game to give up 10 early. Kyle Duggar had no clue where the ball was. Nick Herbig dropped what would have been a pick 6. The 4th and 1 play call, the Scotty Miller, was awful. It was one of the worst things I've ever seen. And I just didn't understand the MVS love affair at the end of the game. You had Kenneth Gainwell in to block Myles Garrett on those plays. Kenneth Gainwell, maybe your best player and the guy who I think is going to win MVP of the Steelers in 2025, was used as a second blocker to slow down Myles Garrett. And he was open on that last play, but it took him a little while to get into his route because he was blocking. And by then, Aaron Rodgers had already made up his mind that he was going to try MVS one more time. So really just a mind-blowing loss. The stat on Tomlin that you just showed in sports, are you kidding me? He's winless over the last 5 years when they play a team that's 8 games under 500 or more. That's why we call them Tomlin games. Because when they play awful teams, they don't do what the Patriots did to the Jets on Sunday. They often get beat, Richie, in an embarrassing fashion.
So, Pony, is there something fundamentally wrong? Because, every year you look at history and trends, and you really can't use those. They don't really matter because teams are different every year. But when a coach has been around this long, I think it does matter. I think there is something there. There is something with that.
Yeah, there's a common denominator, and it's Mike Tomlin. And it's been that way now for almost 20 years. And really for the second half of his career in Pittsburgh, he hasn't won anything. He's now closing in on the likes of Marvin Lewis in Jim Mora when it comes to stretches with one team without a playoff win. He's in very dubious territory where he keeps his job, but he has nothing to show for it in January. And I still can't get over the fact that he came out after the game and was like, hey, we got to tip our cap to the Browns. Are you really? They're a 3-win team. Tennessee just went in there and won. I know Buffalo didn't score very much in the second half, but they didn't need to because they ran the ball like crazy and James Cook went off in the first half of that game. Tomlin said, well, the first half didn't matter because we got the ball to start the second half. Well, when you do nothing with that possession, you better believe the first half matters. They've now gone 65 games without scoring more than 7 points in the first quarter. That is an NFL record, and maybe it's because, as he said after the game, he doesn't care how you start the game. Well, how about you get a big lead on somebody and then protect a lead the rest of the way? The Steelers don't play that way, Richie.
All right, don't forget about our Penn West University question of the night. Scan that QR code in the right-hand corner of your screen to vote. Who would you rather have the Ravens start a quarterback on Sunday, Lamar Jackson or Tyler Huntley? Pony, I don't know what you think, but I would probably rather have them start Lamar Jackson. He's not 100% healthy, and I think that would take away from the run game that the Ravens have been so good at, and Derrick Henry, what he did last weekend.
I think if Lamar Jackson plays, they build the offense around Lamar Jackson. And if Tyler Huntley plays, the offense gets built around Derrick Henry. And I'm more worried about Derrick Henry than I am Lamar Jackson.
Me too.
Yeah, I'm fine if Lamar Jackson plays. He'd be less than 100%. He wouldn't be a running threat. And the Steelers, for the most part, play well against Lamar Jackson, especially in Pittsburgh, over the course of his career.
All right, we're taking your phone calls. 412-575-2600 is the number. Back in a couple minutes. All right, welcome back to the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. This is our Xfinity tweet of the night. Penguins made a trade today. Igor Chinakhov from the Blue Jackets. He was a former first-rounder, but only has 3 goals in 29 games with the Columbus Blue Jackets this year. The Penguins had to give up Dan Heinen and 2 draft picks. All right, that's your Penguins news of the day. We get a tweet from Ryan here, Pony, who said, do you think Sunday's game is a crossroads for Mike Tomlin's career as a Steeler? I don't know if it's a crossroads. I don't think anything happens if he wins or he loses. If he loses this game, he's coming back next year as head coach. Despite, I disagree with what Adam Schefter says. I think he's back here if they lose.
Well, one thing Adam Schefter didn't address on McAfee's show today, which I was hoping he got asked about the more and more I think about it, is, all right, so Mike, the way that the contract's written, the Steelers got to pick up or decline his option, not for 2026, but for 2027 after the season. And so he's either going to have 1 year left on his deal or 2. How do you pick up that option if they lose the next 2 games, Richie, and finish 9-8? How do you reward him with a contract, basically a contract endorsement or approval after this year? That's what I want to know. And if they accept it, well, then that'll tell you that they're accepting mediocrity. And if they decline it, that would mean Tomlin goes into next year, and that would be the final year on his deal, Richie, which would mean that his future with the Steelers is very much in doubt. So that's really what this comes down to is, yeah, I agree. I don't think Tomlin is going to go anywhere, but maybe the end is closer than we think if they lose this game, because I don't see how in the world you would pick up that option if they finish 9-8 and miss the playoffs again.
Yeah, I agree. But we've seen crazier things. Let's go out to Eric from Mount Lebo, and that's our number 1 Cochrane call of the night. What's up, Eric?
How you guys doing?
Good.
Hey, this is mainly for you, Andrew. Just looking back on this game, I'm just curious of how we were even shocked that they lost. I mean, I know you were a big fan of winning the North and first place, this and that, but I mean, even look at the schedule. Who have we beat? That's a playoff contending team. So I understand why everyone's shocked at this loss. Where
the
were
Patriots.
They go? Okay, besides the Patriots, who other playoff team have they beat?
They haven't beaten another one, but who have the Browns beaten? The Browns are one of the worst teams in football. They were 3-12 going in. Shedeur Sanders was a 5th-round pick. They had lost Quinshon Judkins, their starting running back. Harold Fannin, their best receiving target, got injured on that touchdown catch in the first quarter and didn't play the rest of the game. They were down both starting offensive tackles in this game. I mean, come on now. You can't beat them? I don't care where the game got played, at what time, and what weather. You had everything in the world to play for, and their front office wanted the Browns to lose the game to get a better draft pick. And you lost to them, Richie.
Yeah.
I mean, surprised, I wouldn't. No, I was worried on the drive there. But I kept telling myself, wait a minute, this team's different. It's quarterbacked by Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers isn't Russell Wilson or Mason Rudolph or Kenny Pickett or Mitch Trubisky. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's going to find a way to win this game. Nope. He's just like everybody else. When it comes to big games and big moments and games that feel like playoff games, the Steelers lose them now more than they win them, and they usually find a horrific way to lose the game and embarrass themselves.
No question Aaron Rodgers was the reason they lost that game yesterday. I put that loss on him for sure. Let's go to Frank in Greensburg. How you doing, Frank?
Doing really well tonight. Thank you for taking my call, Rich. And I will tell you, this loss was really crushing. I go back to the days of Buddy Lane and Bobby Downs, Steeler football, and I will tell you I've never been more discouraged or depressed about the state of Steeler football. There are not a lot of professionals on this club, Rich. When Chuck Noll took over after the 68 season and Bill Austin was dispatched, they had some folks of character on that team that were building blocks for future championships. Ray Mansfield, Bruce Van Dyke, Andy Russell, Sam Davis, to name a few.
Yeah.
This team is devoid of professionals. This act of an interception or a tackle and running down to the end of the field in the end zone and panning for the camera. Mike Wagner, if he did that, Jack Lambert and Jack Ham would be down and just beating on him.
Yeah, Frank, I appreciate the call, but the game has changed. I do think there are a lot of professionals, Cam Hayward, T.J. Watt, just to name a couple that have been around for a while.
Well, I mean, let's address the elephant in the room, though, on this point. They didn't have DK Metcalf because he attacked a fan. And Romo said it on the broadcast. If they have DK Metcalf, he thinks it's a totally different game. He thinks the Steelers win the game. All right? It's the same thing as last year when Pickens got injured late in the season, and they had nobody to throw the ball to. Well, history's repeating itself. This time it's not injury, which is hard to predict or prevent. This is an act, really a selfish act by a guy, because he didn't like a fan. And I get it. The fan's a moron. The fan's an idiot. And the fan wanted DK Metcalf to do this. But it's up to DK Metcalf to be a professional, like the caller said, and alert security, or just ignore it until the game is over. And he didn't do that. And he cost himself this game yesterday, and he's going to cost himself the game against Baltimore. And I'm telling you, if they lose both of these games, obviously everybody will be out for Tomlin, and I get it, because it'll be another year without a playoff win. But frankly, Richie, not far behind when it comes to the blame game for me would be DK Metcalf.
He had big games against both those teams.
Right. And so, he's the highest paid player in your offense. They gave him the biggest guaranteed money deal to an outsider in Steelers history. He will have lost, I think, all his credibility and fan support if this team ends up making the playoffs, because him missing out on these games killed this offense and put them in a situation where in big-time moments they threw the ball to Scotty Miller and MVS. MVS got targeted 9 times.
9, I know.
Yesterday, Richie. That's a career high. 9 times for him.
Let's go to Bob and Butler. How you doing, Bob?
Yeah, hey, I have a point to make about that 4th and 1 play near the end of the first half.
Yeah. The one that was 5 feet out of bounds? Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, obviously with a yard to go for a first down, to get a first down there would have been great. But I'm a firm believer in going for whatever points you can get at that point in the game and picking up the momentum. They were going to get the ball at the end of at the beginning of the second half. what would have been wrong with kicking a field goal right there, grabbing the 3 points, and going into the locker room just being 1 point down at halftime?
Bob, I get it. I'm a gambler too, though. You notice the Steelers in situations like this, they think they're better, and they are better. They're supposed to be better than the Browns. So you keep going for things in situations, and all of a sudden, this game's close, and then you're panicking.
I have no issue with them going forward in 4th and 1. My issue is what they did with the ball.
Yeah.
And if you would have told me before the play they were going to throw it to Scotty Miller 25 yards downfield, I would have said kick the field goal instead.
I mean, they had Adam Thielen wide open there for about a second, right?
Wide open. Easy
get the
game,
first down.
right over the middle.
Didn't Aaron Rodgers say a few weeks ago, hey, I just look for the open guy, right?
He did.
That's what the offense is. I look for Adam Thielen was open, Pat Freiermuth was open, Kenny Gainwell was open. He didn't see any one of them. All right, we got to take a break. Back in a couple minutes. All right, welcome back. Right back out to the phone lines. Let's go out to John and Butler. How you doing, John?
Hi, thanks for taking my call.
Good.
Hey, John.
I wanted to know who does all the call playing? Do they split it? Is it Tomlin and Rodgers? Like when it's 4th and 1, you have a better chance of picking up the first down with a quick 1 yard instead of throwing a Hail Mary.
Yeah, Arthur Smith is the play caller, but Aaron Rodgers has complete oversight of the offense out there, and he can change the play.
I agree with you. I'm with you on that, Richie. I don't think this is a situation like it was with Pickett or Trubisky where they pretty much tell him what he can do when he can't audible plays. And even last year where he butted heads with Russell Wilson on that. I think Aaron Rodgers has like total faith from those two coaches, and a lot of his mistakes in terms of offensive decision-making in yesterday's game, I think, is on the quarterback and not the coaches.
Hey, real quick, we don't have a lot of time. Will this be Aaron Rodgers' last game as a Steeler?
No, I don't think so. Because I think the Steelers are going to beat the Ravens, Richie, because I don't think the Ravens can help themselves. I do. I think the Ravens will find a way to blow this game.
They're 3.5-point underdogs. I don't have a good feeling, Pony, but we'll see what happens. So back to our question, Lamar Jackson. Everyone wants Lamar Jackson to start on Sunday. All right, I'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place. Hopefully we see you guys on KDKA News right now.